The world awakened Friday night, Friday morning, to yet another mass shooting in a peaceful place of worship. The tragedy took place in Christchurch, New Zealand, and it's one of the most peaceful places on earth. It's so peaceful, in fact, that police officers often don't carry guns. 49, now 50, as of this morning, were shot to death at two mosques during midday prayers by an immigrant-hating white supremacist. A man who wore a helmet-mounted camera to broadcast live video of the slaughter on Facebook. The worshippers were killed simply because they were Muslim. And now families and friends of these victims, as well as of the gunmen, will have to now wrestle with the act of forgiveness. But I suppose that won't be anytime soon. One of the hardest things in life is forgiveness. It's an act that all human beings have encountered with and have struggled with the most. How do we forgive that abusing parent, or the cheating spouse, or the drunk driver who ran over an innocent pedestrian, or the scam artist who swindled one of all of their life savings, or the hijacker on a suicide mission to kill as many innocent victims as he or she can? We have difficulty accepting the motives of such horrific acts. The one who has caused so much hurt and pain and loss and heartbreak. And we wonder, can we ever achieve peace through the act of forgiveness? Forgiveness is key, is once again our theme during these 40 days of Lent. And I hope you are carrying or wearing your key. There's one right down here if you don't have yours yet. This key is a reminder of our need each day for forgiveness from God or our higher power, our need to be forgiven by others, our need to forgive ourselves, our need to forgive those who ask forgiveness of us, and our need to offer forgiveness to those who do not ask for it. The gift of forgiveness opens this door. Think about it. A key, opening a door inside to a deeper, transformative kind of loving that perhaps we haven't yet fully grasped. A loving and a transformation that can indeed bring change to ourselves and to our world. I think it's this gift of forgiveness, it's this love that Jesus modeled in his life, in his relationships, and in his ministry. And Jesus says to us, as in Luke chapter 6, 27 through 35, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who treat you badly. To anyone who slaps you on one cheek, present the other cheek as well. To anyone who takes your coat from you, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who asks of you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. And then Jesus ends with a statement that we call the Golden Rule, but it's ancient wisdom that has spanned many centuries before Jesus and many different religious groups. Jesus said, treat others as you would like people to treat you. What Jesus is talking about is not a love of natural attraction. We don't have to be attracted to another. It's not a love that's based on common interests or even our situation in life, the people that we surround ourselves with. We may not like people, but we are called to love those people. We may certainly not validate or condone someone's actions, but we are still called to love them. That's one of the hardest teachings I know. It's one of the hardest teachings to practice. But we must understand, and I think this is where we forget sometimes, we forget our interconnectedness in this complex web of life that we call our world, our humanity. And simply because of our DNA and all of the things that we share as human beings and as children of the one God, we are all connected. I think that's what the 28-year-old white supremacist didn't understand when he went into a mosque, 2 mosques, and gunned down 50 people and wounding several others. It's what any of us fail to understand when we don't feel our connectedness to other people, even those people who are so different from us, and those who seek to harm us or destroy us. I think it's hard. I think it's really hard to love or to forgive those whose worlds are fashioned so differently from our own, or perhaps those who seek to destroy us. I was reading on the internet last night about a tribe in Ecuador, the eastern side of Ecuador. It's called the Jovardi tribe, and this tribe is all about killing. And the more one kills, the higher of a place that you have within this tribe. They are headhunters. And it's amazing that there are still tribal groups in our world who think in this kind of way. But the act of loving our enemies, the act of forgiving those who seek to harm us, seems to have this special urging or this special urgency in our world today. We are more interconnected in the world than we ever have been. Just look at Lincoln. Look at the diversity that we have become as we grow and grow. We've grown by 100,000 people from 174,000 to 285,000 in the 22 years that Chris and I have been in Lincoln. It's doubled its size, and it's probably doubled in its population of those who are different than Chris and I. Chris and me. I still don't have that down. I always look the same. Our survival, church, depends on our ability to see the world as this very complex web of relationships. And that all people on this web of relationships are important and have a special place in this giant and growing web. The 20th century that most of us have lived a greater part of our lives in was the most grim century in human history in terms of sheer numbers of people who have been destroyed by war and famine. And the hard act of forgiveness of our enemies has presented itself now now for a deep consideration, because we're going to destroy ourselves if we don't learn how to live in this complex web. Earlier in this, well, not early in the service, I told you at the beginning about Pardeep Kalika. Pardeep Kalika is an Indian, his parents are from India, and he's a part of the, I thought it was Sikh. He says Sikh religion, S-I-K-H. And Sikh means learner. And so the Sikh community seeks to be learners. And he was taking his son and his daughter to Sunday school at their Sikh temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin in August of 2012, 7 years ago. And 10 minutes into the drive, his daughter said, "Daddy, I forgot my notebook. We have to go back home and get it." And Pardeep says, "Oh my gosh. Here we go again." So he turns the car around, goes back home, gets the notebook, jumps in the car again, and drives to the temple. And on the way, there's this squad of cars that are zooming past him, and he pulls over. And as a former cop, Pardeep knew something was up. This was not something normal. His cell phone began to ring as he was driving toward the temple, and it was from friends and family members telling him that he needed to get there quick. Pardeep Kalika's father was one of the 6 victims gunned down by a white supremacist. His mom was hiding in a closet. Pardeep Kalika will be speaking here on April 12th. We have a couple of tickets available still if you would like to go with us to the Mayor's Interfaith Prayer Breakfast. But Kalika will share his story. And not only that, but he has become one of the most powerful voices in our country against hate crimes and violence. Instead of seeking revenge and holding on to such hate and anger inside at the loss of his father, Pardeep turned his anger into service to others and practiced forgiveness. And he helped found a group called Serve to Unite. This is their logo. It brings together young people from different religions and cultural backgrounds and encourages them to value humanity and to aspire to live life promoting peace in everything they do. It's a story of forgiveness. It's a story about turning anger and hate into service. It's a story about forgiving one's enemy so that one can go on and live life without that brokenness or woundedness in their life. Stories of forgiveness have such power to transform. I bet every one of you could come up here to the lectern and share a story from your life about forgiveness that has brought you great healing and comfort. The Forgiveness Project was founded in 2004 by a journalist named Maria Cantacuzina. And the Forgiveness Project collects and shares stories from individuals and communities who have rebuilt their lives following hurt and trauma. And this Forgiveness Project will be on display for us at the end of April and into May at Gateway Mall. Forgiveness is key. Church, forgiveness stands at the heart of our Lenten journey this year. Life is painful. Life is filled with all sorts of trauma and hurt that sometimes wounds us for a lifetime. There will always be people who will try to hurt us and injure us. But we must never forget Jesus' loving words, forgiving words that he uttered on the cross when he was dying, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing." Jesus died forgiving people who didn't know what they were doing was wrong. What greater act, what greater experience of loving God could we seek to be persons that also model Jesus' life? Persons who forgive. We offer an invitation for you to become a part of a community that seeks to be aware of where in our community people are hurting, and to go into those neighborhoods and to minister to those people who come to us in search of wholeness, in search of some way